welcome to Zondell, Lands of Discordance, a Dungeons & Dragons 5e campaign. We have 6 of our players here once again. A couple who might be coming in a bit late. One who's unlikely due to some classes and such that they're doing for their senior year. So we'll see how things go in that regard. Best of luck to them. And anybody else in general or at school. And we'll jump back into things where we left off last. So, the party has, through talking with other individuals in the castle and through their own experiences and through the sight of a maid brutally killing another one, kind of figured out that maybe, quite possibly, just maybe something is unusual happening in Castle Evan Peak. Evil is afoot. Or maybe 2 feet. Or something like that.
Left arm.
See.
No.
Throbbing, beating heart.
I don't want it to be anything throbbing.
Within the underbelly of the Frost Heart. And through discussion with each other, there's realization that the dream of the Black Flame offering that was given to them was not quite shared, but serial, simultaneous, in some separate, inclusive fashion. And that something is definitely rotten in Denmark, as it were. Darwin was heading off to see whether Miranda was alright. Xander is planning on going out with Buster to dig up the upper maid before she rises as a vampire spawn. And yet, it is still only shortly before lunchtime. There's a little bit of time before you know that, given past circumstances, lunch will be called. What do you all choose to do in the small amount of time you have before this occurs?
Should we just go down the list of individuals, or?
I think Arendar should go first since he has the A in his name.
I guess Miranda will test her new body. And Dobbs will be training and or checking up on the dude because I really want my stuff. Adam's making fancy stonework. Everybody else is just randomly doing deeds around.
Okay. Gaming Wolf?
Well, the sisters would be checking up on Riordan to see if he's finally alone, and trying to plot up of a way to end him without raising suspicion. Riordan would be probably headed back to the wizard room to keep studying and helping out identifying the gifts and all of that. Uh, Xander would be meeting up with Buster to, find out a way, come up with a plan to do their little deed. Umbra, she'll be watching Linnell work, or invite Linnell over to help her work on something. Syl will be with Dare, trying to figure out like what the hell is going on. And Anna will be spying on Umbra and Linnell. I think that's all of my characters. Yeah, that's all of them.
Okay. Squab?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna try to go look for Arendelle, or sorry, not Miranda. I'm having a brain fart.
The top.
Tall man with big sword.
Dobbs.
Okay, god damn it. I'm gonna go look for Dobbs.
Dobby is a real elf. It's free.
Okay. Go ahead and roll an investigation check.
Ooh. It's like I gotta add my investigation. I'm sorry. I got 9.
Okay. Thus far, you haven't found Dobbs. You figure most likely he'll probably show up for lunch. You're not certain on that 100%, but at least it'll be a good opportunity if it's not something highly time sensitive.
All right, I'm gonna kind of lurk around the kitchen then. See if he shows.
Alright. Meryl?
Same thing as before. Darwin would eventually, since it's probably been a little bit since Marina disappeared off with the Count, Darwin would decide just to go check up and make sure that wasn't just someone he immediately met and is already dead.
Okay. We'll get to that in just a moment. Sticks?
My character would probably search around the castle, maybe looking around, just trying to get a feel for the place. Like, seeing what he can find, basically.
Okay. Go ahead and roll a perception check.
That would be a 17.
Okay. As you are wandering around the castle, looking over different things, here and there you catch sight of different guests and staff getting irritated at each other. Some getting into altercations before being separated. Some wiping away spit and blood. Others rubbing a bruised jaw as they walk away. There's a general sense of tension, not just the sort of tension that comes with an impending wedding, but something else. Alright. Xander, go ahead and make a investigation check.
Alright. That is a 22.
Okay. As you are looking for Buster, you are surprised to find that he is not looming over Pine's baby sister, guarding her. He is not out in the courtyard practicing martial arts or praying to the great cog. In fact, it takes you quite a while, and you are almost considering just simply going back to the dining hall and hoping to find him there, even though he doesn't need to eat, just because of the habit of being present and around. And then you catch a glint of metal in the snow beyond the gatehouse.
Oh, nothing but good things are gonna happen, I'm sure. Xander's going to go investigate.
As you leave and go out into the snow, move closer, finding the glint amidst all of the reflections on the snow itself, brighter still, and it's a piece of metal that's partially exposed. You brush away snow and you find a mangled up piece of mechanical wing.
Yep, nothing but good things. Okay, are there, like, footprints around?
It does not appear
What's
to be
in-
right now, but there is a soft wind blowing that is drifting snow back over the area where you have pulled the wing out of.
What spells do I have prepared? Locate person, I hope? I don't think so. Nope. Don't have. Alright, well, I'll dig around the area. With his bare hand. Because why not? Oh, he has a shovel. He'll use the shovel.
As you dig and dig around, you don't find other pieces in this area, at least.
Oh, wait. He went with that chick. Did I ever see him return?
You did not.
Oh, come on. That. She's definitely getting a stake through the heart. Why did he let him go by himself? Sad day. He'll Xander will go back inside and try to round up some people to help him look for Buster. Do you have to be more specific? Pine maybe? The list of good people is kind of short. Pine definitely, because that's the only other person Xander
Well, there's
besides.
Tatash, there's Magwala, potentially. There's V.
Tatash, oh yeah. V is there?
Yes.
Oh, he had to deal with V for a whole year by himself. V any longer. I guess he could deal with V a little bit longer. Yeah, he'll go talk to all the now NPC PCs that he's known.
Alright. So, go ahead and make an investigation check again with advantage.
Alright. For every one of them, or just a general?
Just one.
Okay. Hey, another one. That's it. Yeah, 21.
Okay. And while they are out searching, we will check up on Darwin. Darwin,
If he's still alive.
go ahead and make your investigation check.
Did you say Darwin make investigation?
Yes.
Alright. An 18 plus a 4, so that is 22.
Okay. After talking to a few of the staff here and there, you manage to sufficiently enough get a picture of the route Miranda has taken through the castle, eventually going to Strad and Gisela.
Well, I suppose, obviously, because normally you'd probably hear some signs of a fight, or they probably wouldn't be so willing to tell me where the room was if something was actually going down. So Darwin would probably just head up that way and then just kind of wait somewhere where if Miranda comes out of that room, unless she quite purposely jumps out the window to kill herself, probably walk past. to kind of keep an eye on things.
Little
Like
does
either
he
a
know,
hallway.
Miranda flies.
Yeah, I know, but Darwin doesn't know that. Oh, he'll end up probably sitting in that hallway for a couple minutes, maybe just going through his notebook. While he waits, just trying to think of any other songs or anything like that he can start working on. Possibly that one he was coming up with based around that dream he had. So.
Okay. So it starts getting closer, and lunch is being called. Xander, Payne, Tatash, and V are out in the snow, distance from the castle itself, hearing distantly over the wind the call to summons. And between the senses of Tatash, wild-shaped, and Pine, with their Dhamphyr nature, are able to aid in the search enough to eventually come to the edge of the valley of Ivorab and see into the wandering woods, where there appears to be almost a path of broken branches and canopy that looks to be about the size of a modron if it were thrown forcibly.
Xander is going to go over there and use the shovel to start unpacking that or digging it up.
Okay.
Trying to be careful.
So it looks like Buster has been thrown some distance from the edge of the valley into the wandering woods.
Oh, so we're like on a cliff and can see down there.
Yes. It's more kind of hilly than the cliff facing of the valley, but you can definitely see that it is downhill. And
how far away
steep.
is it?
It's a few hundred feet, at least,
Fantastic.
to the wandering woods, and then I'd say maybe 200-300 feet past that to where it looks like arcing and sailing through the air. Buster likely crashed through.
Shit. She needs to join the local baseball. Onwards and forward, companion. Gotta save Buster.
Okay. With memory of what it was like, Pine and Tatash, at least, do mention their prior experience in the Wandering Woods.
Oh yeah. Do they think if we left like a trail of rope, we'd be able to find our way out?
Maybe. You're not entirely certain.
He'll make that suggestion to the party. Well, to them. And when they have the rope I'll tie it up. Then they'll go further into the.
Go ahead and roll a survival check.
Fantastic. That is a 13.
As the four of you push through the wandering woods using the rope and fighting foot by foot, yard by yard, into the woods, you take 16 of assorted different types of damage worth of injury, but eventually do find the frame of Buster, who is got one arm that is detached close to where he is impacted, another one still attached, both legs and wings, which you have found scattered on your way to finding him, both in the snow leading to the valley, which helped with the trail, and in the woods itself, found the missing pieces.
Is he the dead?
No, he is still trying to crawl on one arm.
Fantastic. None of my healing spells work on construct. I have bending. Would bending work on him? Trying to put the parts back together?
You could technically repair the metal portion of it. It would be essentially akin to setting somebody's bones, where it's still going to be tender, the equivalent at least for him, where it's not going to feel right, like it's too stiff, or it's way too loose on a particular other joint, where he's going to have to get used to it and get it back to normal state. But it's a usable functionality.
Yeah, I just want to get him up and at least semi-walking, and then take him to the blacksmith to see if he could fix them up, or ask Buster how to heal him properly. But Xander would pick him up and carry him if Buster will allow that.
Time heals wounds.
Time heals all wounds, yes.
Not all, but these. Some wounds make you dead.
Oh yeah, and some wounds wish you were dead. Who did this to you? I think I have a good feeling, though.
I do not know. I was walking with the maid, and then I was airborne.
Uh-huh. So... do you think she may have used magic on you?
It is possible.
Alright. I'm going to cast Detect Evil and Good.
Okay. The woods themselves feel desecrated, and the ground and the canopy itself seem full of undead elementals and fae, and there is a undercurrent of some sort of aberration deep below the surface, but on the edge of your senses.
Fantastic. Well, gang, it's time to GTFO. And try to follow the rope out of there.
Okay. Go ahead and make a survival check.
God damn. Why the hell is that so high? I'm glad. That's a 14.
Okay. After what feels like days, you realize you are still nowhere near the edge of the woods, despite the fact that the rope you keep following seems to keep leading onward.
Fantastic.
So about that party wipe, sounds like some people just died.
Could Tatash do his little wild shape and help us out of following our
I mean, he could certainly fly straight up and out if he doesn't get knocked down by something.
Yeah, but that seems
doesn't
like
necessarily mean like he could necessarily get the rest of you out, but
yeah, I was about to say, it seems highly likely that something will knock him out of the sky. And I don't want to endanger any more party members. Endanger them any further. How about asking him to climb up a tree and see how if he can see a way out of here?
you do know I'm a Kalistar, not an elf, right? I don't have any special long distance vision sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, we're all in the same boat. I just thought you'd be better at climbing than. You know, hold on to Buster. I'll climb it up myself. I will attempt to climb a sturdy looking tree.
Go ahead and make a nature check.
Has it actually been days?
You're
Or
not
no?
certain.
That is a 19.
You're about to climb one tree when you notice that the vines that are hanging off of it and the moss itself seems to undulate in an unusual pattern, and you pick a different tree to climb.
Yes. Yes, I would.
As you ascend up the tree, you can see you are in a lower part of the valley, further away from the edge of the woods than when you had first found Buster, to the best of your knowledge. But closer now to the wall of the cliff upon which Castle Evan Peak is at the peak. Sitting on the plateau.
Well, I'll climb down and tell them what I saw. If we keep going in that direction, we should go up against the cliff and be out of the forest so that we could.
Make a perception check.
Okay. Let's see. 15.
Okay. As you climb down from the tree, starting to talk and explain what you're seeing, you realize that there does not appear to be Buster, Tatash, Pine, and V down on the forest floor. Instead, there appear to be a squat, toad-like pair of figures holding sharpened sticks with
Kiss them to turn
gemstones
them back into the
holding
princess.
on by twine to the sticks that are looking around and waving them in your general direction, shaking them a bit.
Oh boy. Do you not have comprehend language? I do have tongue. I think that works better though. Tongues. Oh, I have to touch it.
Touch it.
Xander's a civil guy, so he's gonna go over and be nice to them and explain. Tell them that I come in peace. And ask if they can understand him.
Okay, so you're going to just reach over and touch.
No, no.
Okay, so you're just going to
I'm
speak
gonna.
in common.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
gonna
you
speak
were
to them in
mentioning-
common.
You were mentioning the spell, so that's why I was like making sure.
No, because they're armed. So it's like,
Okay.
just want to ask you if you can understand me, and if you can't, then we'll try to figure out a way to talk to each other. He'll first say it in common, and then try Elvish. do they understand?
There's kind of a tilt of the head of the one that's in front. The other one just kind of croaking very lightly. Their blue and black, almost mucusy skin just going over the eyelids entirely and coming back up as there's another eyelid that comes up afterward.
Awesome.
And then there's the warbling, ribbiting sound. And then in your head, you hear, "What are we doing here?"
What are we doing here? We, as in you two?
We're in the woods. We're going to hunt. It's in woods. Can't find the words. Where are we?
The blank woods, because he would know the name. He would tell them the name. We are here. And these woods are a little tricky because they keep changing around you. And I lost my comrade while I climbed up the tree.
They look at each other and look at you. You lids.
You called me useless?
They start hopping out into the woods away from you.
Yeah, well, it was nice meeting you too. And I'll walk the opposite direction.
Go ahead and make a survival check.
2.
That's fantastic. That is a 14 again. My survival is high for some reason. I don't know why.
Might be the only thing that's slightly saving you currently.
You walk in the opposite direction from them, and yet a few minutes later, you can see them up ahead, moving right to left across your vision through the underbrush, stabbing at some. You almost want to say deer at first, a buck of some kind, until the antlers themselves suddenly pivot forward and start slashing at the two frogmen of some kind, the best that you could describe them, as they're parrying away the horns, and the figure's mouth opens and there's sharp teeth and drool coming out. And the mouth keeps going back further and further until the upper body above the legs opens up to be one monstrous jaw.
Oh, hell no. Hell no. Whole bunch of nope over there. How far away is it?
Looks to be about 80 feet away.
Fantastic.
That's
I'm
way
going
closer.
to move 20 feet forward and cast Sacred Flame on it.
Okay.
It needs to make a DC's Dex 17.
It
Would it get disadvantage?
not necessarily,
Okay.
because they aren't directly opposite you for the help action. So, as you start casting this, it almost seems to crane its head atop the rest of this jaw, this fake deer head, looking in your direction as you're in mid-casting, and then prancing away as the sacred flame goes out and does not hit it. But yet it darts away.
Towards me?
It's going away from you.
Oh, okay. Well, as long as it's not going towards me, I can live with that. So he'll go over to the frog people and ask them if they need any healing.
Want some candy, little boy?
Come here, little boy. Got some healing potions for you.
You know, you survived in woods the past 4 weeks. Might make good food, brother.
One in front says, glancing back at the other.
It did not look that tasty to me, but
Oh no, they're talking about you.
yes, he knows. He's just trying to.
Okay.
You
Deflect.
know, he's just trying to deflect it. If you're hungry, I have ration.
A pinky finger, a left toe.
Might be good for tadpoles if able to get free. Sister.
I don't know if rations are good for tat.
Well, you are trying to dance around the subject with these frogmen. We will go back to outside Strahd's room and Darwin outside. Doesn't seem to be any sound at all coming from just in the hallway itself. At least to the best of your hearing thus far.
Well,
Shitty perception check, go!
yeah, I would say. So I just don't hear sound, nothing.
You don't hear anything coming from the room from where you've chosen to sit down, since you're not like directly in front of the door.
Well, I've been waiting a little bit. I suppose Darwin would walk up and just kind of knock on the door. To see, because who knows? Maybe he took a wrong turn somewhere, and he's just sitting awkwardly in the hallway, like some kind of autistic spaz or something like that. You never know.
Okay. Are you just knocking, or now that you've moved to the door, listening before knocking?
Yeah, I'd still listen for like just a moment, not like a intent listen, like, ooh, if I get caught doing this, I'm gonna get in trouble type of listen, but just a, is there someone in the room type of listen.
Okay. Are you doing something akin to like just standing there tilting your head, or putting your ear against the door? How are you trying to listen right now?
Just
Micah. For you, Miranda doesn't ever sleep. I don't know if you're up on that. She's got the Warlock moon thing.
Right. This hasn't been like a long rest worth of time yet.
Well, no, this is like right after breakfast.
Granted, no. If like they're resting after our activities, I would still be up checking my body out, doing some stuff.
Right. So, as I said, Darwin.
So it wouldn't be like up against the door because again, that's creepy and weird. But it'd just be kind of tilted head close to the door, just kind of listening to see if you could hear someone talking for a moment or anything that would indicate there's something alive in the room.
Okay. Go ahead and make a perception check at disadvantage.
Disadvantage already? Alright, so we're going for a 6 plus perception of 8, so that puts me at 14.
Again.
Yeah, what's with all the 14s today? Like...
So you can't quite hear exactly what is going on within the room, but you can definitely hear some very enthusiastic sounds.
We're using enthusiastic in a symbolic way or enthusiastic in the literal way? Like, yeah, go sports team type of enthusiastic, or is it other kind of enthusiastic?
As in quite vocal and specific in purpose.
Ah. See.
Just became concubine!
With more than one voice in the mix.
Alright, so I arrived at that point in the story. Okay, so... Arwen would obviously be somewhat familiar with those types of noises. So he'll probably end up just writing down a quick note, just saying, Dash Miranda, if you're looking to get your instrument back, I'm going to be down on the lower floors. Down by the mess hall. The dining room. Mess hall?
I mean, it just kinda, in your perception, appeared in front of you.
What?
Oh, my sleight of hand was retarded. It was 39. Like, that box just appeared there.
Oh, I thought you said you were giving it to me, though, because you were
I mean, as a me, I gave it to you. As your character, it showed up in front of you.
Oh, I'm forgetting things here now. I thought you had said something to Darwin saying, like,
no,
you might be interested in...
I had asked you about if you were interested in stringed instruments. And and you're like, no! And then as...
Well, no, because see, that's where the clue comes from, is like, are you interested in string instruments? Suddenly I have a string instrument out of nowhere when I wasn't talking to anyone else. I mean...
could you...
It's kind of implied, because I didn't steal it, so...
You don't know that I stole it either.
No, but what I'm saying
I asked you if you were
my
interested,
character didn't
and
take
then it appeared there.
The only person he was communicating with was Miranda. So that's
right,
that's
but
kind of
would you infer that it would be a gift at that point?
I don't know. It's like, I said I didn't like string instruments particularly. I don't know if I was just like giving it to hold on to, because again, percussionists tend to have hearing problems, so it could be in Darwin's mind, oh, he just didn't hear Miranda say, hey, hold on to this for a sec. You know?
Fair enough.
Which is great. I have that from personal experience. The amount of times people say things to me and I just don't hear it because my ears are bad is insane. It might have been what happened before. So, again, it's like kind of assumed because string instrument out of nowhere, but I don't. Darwin doesn't particularly care for it, so maybe it's just been holding on to for a minute. So Darwin would just kind of write down a quick note, just saying dash like Miranda. They're looking for me and the instrument that I believe you gave me. I'll be down at the mess hall, dining room. Why do I keep saying mess hall?
Because it's the same thing, really.
Yeah, so this mess hall kind of implies military in a sense or something.
Well, giant dining hall. Mess
Yeah.
hall. Same kind of thing.
He'll just write down that note and then he'll head back down towards the mess hall now since they were calling for lunch. He's probably not going to eat since it feels like breakfast just happened, but he'll start heading down that way.
Is that a note for you, or are you leaving that on Strahd's bedroom door?
He's leaving it like over by the door, like maybe like just outside of it. So like you open the door and you're gonna see it sitting there, type deal, something like that.
Sure.
Okay.
Rolls a nat 1 for perception of the note directly at your feet. Walks past it.
Pretty much.
Okay.
My luck right there.
So, Miranda,
What?
as time eventually passes and it is time for lunch, and Strahd and Giselle are preparing to head down, there's a little discussion back and forth between the two of them without any even momentary glance in your direction during any of the questions themselves, but momentary pauses between them as they consider things, as they are discussing what you should wear down to lunch. Basically, talking around the fact that you're there.
It's whatever. They're the lords and ladies, and I'm a lowly concubine servant now. And, okay, as they make their suggestions, I morph into that to assist with the aesthetic. And they can tailor it from there. It's whatevs. Yay, at will spells!
Okay. After spending a bit of time, eventually you head down. Go ahead and make a perception check.
Perception, where art thou? Perception. Come on, don't freeze program. 15.
Okay.
I was gonna be like, oh, another 14. Oh, that's a 6.
You notice the note that is more or less just kind of the top creased to fit into part of the crack between the stonework mortar of the wall of the hall right opposite Strahd's door, folded lightly with your name next to a dash.
I pick it up and read it. I don't attempt to hide that I'm trying to pick it up.
Okay.
If I see it, Strahd saw it. That's my reasoning at this point. Bitch saw me stealing.
It's a vicious mockery. You don't
Okay.
see shit.
So they are still getting ready, and the door is shut as you are reading it. You are able to obviously know what it says, and they have already suggested that you head down and that they will be down shortly after you.
Okay, I'm in whatever form that they decided I should be in, as well as hairstyle and accessory.
Mhm.
Am I dressed like a gimp?
No. But it is most definitely accentuating the new branding.
Oh. Whatever. I'm a piece of property now. I'm a piece of property of the rulers that now doesn't have to worry about shit except not getting eaten.
Okay.
My life is set.
All right. Everyone except for Xander, as they are still lost in the Wandering Woods, may go ahead and make a perception check with advantage.
Was this mark gonna be hidden until I was like, put it on my chest?
They specifically said that it would be someplace that would be displayed.
Well, I mean,
but
I
it
get
wasn't necessarily going to be on your chest.
right,
But it
but
would
like
be
on my
somewhere.
tummy, it was like, okay.
You said with
maybe
advantage for that perception, by the way, right?
Yes.
That's +4, correct?
No, advantage means you roll
24.
two d20s, and you take the higher.
Darwin
Yeah.
got 24.
It could have been, say, just below the nape of your neck, between the shoulder blades. It could have been around your waist in the front or the back, around the navel, just underneath the bust where you chose it, on an exposed shoulder. Wherever it was going to be somewhere that would be exposed.
Okay.
I got a 12.
They weren't considering someplace like on your face directly.
On my forehead. No. On my throat, like those tattoos.
Sticks, I will point out you do get advantage, so you'd use the 11 that you just rolled, not the 2.
That's still a 12.
Oh,
Yeah, he doesn't
And
have.
my sucks.
here
Well,
comes the
that's
percussion
a
hearing. I thought you said only 2. I thought you only said 2. That's why. I'm gonna stop talking.
Even with that low number, you all can still quite evidently see the branding on Miranda, and the fact that it isn't much longer after she comes into the dining hall that Strahd and Gisela walk in as well.
Does anybody know the significance of that branding? Fuck, do
No
I
idea.
really know the significance of that branding?
I mean, again, I could probably do a history check with Darwin to see if he knows. 'Cause, again, this probably isn't his first time traveling here to talk about art trades and whatnot between Strahd and Guild and whatnot.
You
Would
could,
Sil know?
Maybe, I don't know. It could be
there's
just.
a possibility that many of you might have some inkling, at least. Anybody could use a history check or a animal handling check.
An animal handling check.
Would a religion check?
A religion check actually could work as well. There are some different religions and cults that do branding or tattooing for a specific purpose.
What about medicine? I have an 8.
Darwin
plus-
ends up with a 14 for a history check.
Would I know? I guess I would. That would be if I was trying to figure out if it was a brand or not. Never
I would
mind.
say at disadvantage, you'd be able to figure out that it was caused by a brand, but not maybe the significance of that.
Six would roll a 21. If it's not at a disadvantage. And again, mine was a religion check, so.
None of my characters would care. Sil would see it and be like, "Oh, that's what happened," and go back to eating.
You'd also notice that she is dressed significantly different from when she left.
Yeah, it seems to be sort of a blend of aesthetic from her old style, but accents that seem suitable from both elements of style that is used in many of the paintings of the Zarevich line and of the Orkhan line that Gisela is part of. It seems to be kind of a blending of that and what Miranda was previously wearing.
I'm a fancy pinup model.
I mean, changing clothes is pretty normal. I mean, Darwin's got like 4 different sets of clothes he carries around in his traveling pack. I mean, let's stay stylish.
Yeah. All of you basically can get that this seems to be something that, while it is possible to have been done under coercion and enticement in a particular fashion to try and remain stationary and stable, it is not something that looks like somebody who tried to resist out of it or had to be bound in place while they were branded. It seems very much one way or another to be chosen to allow it. And given the sort of wolf fur aesthetic that Giselle has around her, it seems very likely that it is.
I can hear
tied to
that. I can hear that through the headphones. Okay. I'm saying that might be a little too loud.
You're a little too loud.
Yeah, we can hear you, Sticks.
Oops. I forgot I was unmuted.
Yep. I thought you were calling him a baby. What? How dare you?
A heavy
No,
baby.
I was talking to my fiance.
Yeah, we've kind of figured.
Since we heard her respond.
Great.
The good news is your microphone works.
Yay! I deeply apologize for that.
No, that's fine. We've had much worse.
I will.
Screaming babies.
Geese.
All right. So what's on the menu? Who is on the menu?
Apparently, I was on the menu.
For brunch.
Still not out of the question.
Thing like eggs, bacon, and fish for breakfast. Am I right?
Heyo.
Or
There
blood
is-
sausage and blood wine. I mean,
Well,
Urchins.
it does appear that Strahd and a few of the others are having blood wine.
Out of character. Now that something's happened, virgins might go back on the menu too.
What?
And
Well, Xander's already in danger enough as it is.
okay.
Fucking heart of darkness.
But there
In
appears
danger.
to be salmon and trout and some catfish fished from some very cold rivers and valleys that are around the area where there is enough protection from the wind and snow for some of the water to be not completely frozen at the surface. There is tubers that have been grown underground, mushrooms, assorted different spices that have been imported from different valleys and from even beyond the plains of the Frostheart. And there's just this sort of glaze on some of the meat that it's not quite diluted caramel, but it has a sweetness to it. Something perhaps akin to some sort of cream and maple syrup that's been diluted and mixed together. And as you
Tasty.
are eating whatever suits your particular dietary needs,
Pass me that
go
salmon.
ahead and make another perception check, all of you this time.
Pass me that
It's normal.
blood.
Shit. I am sitting at a. Darwin is sitting at a 12.
Miranda's a 19.
16.
And
Sticks got a 20.
Dobbs is 23.
Wait, Dobbs is here? He made it?
Well, he was training before. He was training and keeping up on the master. By the way, is the fucking guy healed yet?
As they were saying before, he would take some time to heal unless one of the mages is free to do that. Apothecary-wise,
Xander
he
could
is
have
healing. Yes, but Xander went out in search of Buster.
No, but like the day that it happened, Xander said he was gonna use Greater Restoration on the dude.
Mm-hmm. So, did he though?
I would
He was
say
looking
he
for
would
that
have.
diamond.
Sometimes all you need is just a high.
Did he get
He still-
called and asked to do it?
No, he did not.
You didn't get around to doing that part.
I asked, would
He
they
still
have
needed
gone
that
and
diamond.
asked that?
Yeah, he asked. He was like, "Anyone got a 100 GP diamond?" Anybody?
You all
Diamond.
got any more of them death sticks?
But no one answered, so he's like, "Okay, well, he'll just use Cure Wounds and Lesser Restoration."
Okay. So, as you are eating, discussing things, you all can make out that the chambermaid is attempting to sneakily pass off a wrapped up, covered in tissue paper sphere of some kind to one of the guards, who puts it into a pouch on their belt.
Who did what now?
The chambermaid vampire handed a sphere that was wrapped in tissue paper to a guard.
Would we know that this is is this the same chamber made
Yes.
as the other counter? Okay.
I feel like I know that ugly bitch.
Is
As
this the
you
one that
are-
died, or is this the one that...
As you are pondering this, the upper maid walks in.
Son of a bitch!
The one that was
I
supposed
thought
to
it
be
was gonna
buried?
take a day.
The one that was supposed to be dead?
The one that was supposed to be dead. The one that
Oh,
was supposed to
shit.
take a day.
Hmm.
She goes and sits far away from the chambermaid, glancing over here and there, but any time the chambermaid's eyes glance at her, they flit down to her table.
I think Sill's gonna go investigate. Cause why not? She's gonna just like slide over to her and be like, "Yo, thought you were supposed to be dead."
Aren't we all?
Here, here. Takes a huge swig of wine. Like, fuck yeah. So how was your dirt nap?
Hey, how'd you like dying?
I've done it a couple of times. It's no big deal. You her slave now, or what?
Oh, is he talking to me?
No.
I've-
Scylla's
Still's
asking
talking to
about
the
maid.
maid.
Okay. I mean, it's a fair question. I wasn't paying too much attention.
That is true.
She turned me, so I can't deny or fight her without assistance, but she's only just commanded that I keep my distance.
Stay away from my fucking man, yo.
You think the dude is worth it?
It's literally just like a potato with legs is her fiance, and it's like totally not worth the fighting.
It was entirely a misunderstanding.
Okay. What happened?
It was my sister.
Y'all are twins.
No,
Oh.
we're not. But not saying a primary name and just a surname, and the fact that between the two of us, I'm the one that tends to have people hounding more, she made some assumptions.
I never really liked her. You were always cool though, so I feel kind of bad. She's not an elf, right? Out of character.
No, she's not.
Okay. Okay. Good.
I'm as I am now, and at least there's a supply of blood here. Not going to be killed by pitchfork right away. And I'm supposed to keep my distance, but she also wants to keep an eye on me, so I can't just leave anyways. Such
Want me to kill her?
It is not something I can directly ask for.
But you're not denied.
Hope you enjoy your meal.
Okay. And so we'll just skip her to her little beat of her own drum back to her spot.
after a while of eating and discussion for a bit, Strahd clinks his glass lightly to draw attention. Friends, family, assorted noble lineages and representatives, and trade partners, allies, strangers to these halls who are here.
Did he drop? Did it drop for anybody else?
Yep.
Oh, yep.
Who dropped?
It was you. It went all like robot-y for a second, and then
Yeah.
Okay. Strange. Okay. I will repeat that. So, Strahd clinks his glass a bit to get some attention and says, friends, family, assorted noble lineages and their representatives, business partners and potential trade agreements to be negotiated, allies, strangers to these halls who've come for a momentous occasion not far away. We've all seen such an interesting shift in behavior from different individuals this past day. It has come
In character
to
laughs like a maniac.
our attention that there is some outside force, or rather several, that have been attempting to interfere with our coexistence and the preparations for this wedding, as well as just in general to sow disorder amongst the assorted planes and affecting here as well. Many of you have considered possibilities previously too questionable to you previously to even consider with more than a moment's hesitation. Some of you are enjoying this new mindset, while others fear it or have apprehensions about it. Regardless of your particular feelings one way or another, my bride-to-be and I, and others we have spoken to, have come to one piece of agreement which we hope you share with us. Regardless of whether we have changed for what we feel is the better, or just different, or worse, and wish to rectify it at some point, there is, at the minimum, one outside force that is having influence on us. And this shall not be.
here.
Knife is thrown in its
is-
direction to shut him up.
something
Sil.
I was
foul
huzzahing.
is spreading its tendrils across the land, through the soil, through our dreams, through the magic that is wielded around here. Different and insidious in nature, unlike the pure surge of power that you felt recently prior to that. Such an insidious darkness must be stopped and either made to leave, submit, and obey, or be destroyed.
Wait, say that last phrase again?
Or be destroyed.
No. Did he just tell everybody to submit or be destroyed?
No, he said
No,
such
the monster.
insidious
Oh,
force
okay.
must be made to flee, to kneel and submit, or to be destroyed.
It's gonna
Yeah,
be
he
a-
wasn't telling everyone to do that right now.
this could be-
that comes later.
Get on your knees.
Those who are in agreement remain here in the dining hall, and those who do not, we shall set aside space to discuss the matter and see if
Eat
we
you.
cannot convince you before allowing you to depart. For we are to be together, and we are agreed in this. And if we are to consider you friends and family and allies, we wish to surround ourselves with people who will not idly sit by or attempt to oppose our sanctity of defenses, both of this castle and its lands and its citizens, but also their souls. Free to choose, but not forced in this depraved primal manner. Decide.
Dob stands up, turns towards him, takes his sword off, blade down in front of him, both hands, stabs it in the sword, and stands and waits. Katong.
Are you stabbing with that sword again?
The floor. This sword is 260 pounds.
Why are you standing?
Yeah, like I don't think Strahd's gonna be very happy if you messing up his nice floor in his castle. I mean,
That-
For like the third
That's what
time.
magic's for.
That's true.
you're not wrong, but
But
you
it's
are
still, it's the principle of the matter.
principal.
He
I'm
had
making a
disrespected his
statement.
house.
I'm fighting. Katong.
You'd be like, you have my sword.
my axe.
And your brother. What?
Well, Darwin would probably pipe up from the corner of the room and just be, "I, Strahd, it'd be much a shame if we couldn't continue having our their fun talks about art and whatnot. To some force just saying no to all of that."
Indeed. He glances around the room. Few of the guests look a bit nervous,
Instant incineration.
12th level fireball.
No, not fireball. No.
They didn't
please.
realize that the next room was a gas chamber.
Sorry, I ate too much fish.
Do we recognize any of the guests that are leaving? By name?
Which character are you asking who might notice?
Any of our characters?
Okay.
First of all, Sil wants to see how the Major Domo is doing.
Sil would notice Norga. Norga Aldarin, the Farjanasi werewolf, who is presently in charge of what previously was Harkin Lucas's clan of werewolves and wolfers.
Get her out of here. No incineration for her. She's a... Interesting.
Currently, about how many people are still left in the room with us that are still kind of sticking around up?
There's some discussion. The majority of them are still in the room, but some of them are kind of discussing amongst the groups that traveled together on making that decision. Like, is everybody in the group going to go or stay, or some going to go? You know, some might have responsibilities that require multiple of them to return or to stay, and possibilities of, say, whether trade agreements might, be strained by leaving and not being there when Strahd is basically saying, hey, if you want to be our friends, you need to stick around.
Yeah.
I figured it was like people were outing themselves as being to it by leaving because they were scared that
Should
be purged.
Suppose then the question is that how high of a risk is there of the castle being attacked, or will it be safe if everyone just goes out to freaking wipe this thing off the face of the planet,
Well, he's not saying everybody would, go out and charge, just that
Yeah, no,
in
I
some
kind of get that.
fashion that you're supposed to help in some way, whether it's to plan or to actually go out and fight or whatever else.
He can inspire everyone with his songs.
Yes. And then I'll cast I'll use my stand Zawaudo and freeze time and use that to just completely...
Whoop, boop, 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 boop.
I can play 5 drums in the span of a single second, and you'll never hear them. Well, obviously, the more the merrier, so let's see here. If I can... I do have that point of inspiration from last time. Let's see what I have to possibly a bit of convincing. Well, actually, I could just use persuasion to persuade as many individuals to...
Well, you can use
Step to the center
persuasion
stroke.
with your inspiration.
I know. That's what I'm saying, is I
Yeah.
thought I had a specific spell for it, but I don't think I do. You can see my brain's all over the place from finals week. But yes. So what I'm gonna go ahead and Darwin's gonna do is he's gonna go ahead and see if he can persuade the individuals around him to agree to help Strahd with a bit of an issue that we're going through with this unknown, most likely hostile force. Kind of a rallying speech talking about the great times they've had, and possibly slightly BSing a couple of bits because he doesn't know half the people in there. But I mean, Strahd's a powerful individual, and everyone has something to gain from being his friend. Even if it's more simple things, just like nice conversations about art, as an example, amongst other things.
Boo!
So,
Sit down.
yeah, we'll go ahead. He's gonna just go ahead and just shut up.
Since you did say that you were going to include some manner of deceptions here and there from not knowing everybody there, first go ahead and roll a deception check.
Let's see here. Should probably use my inspiration for the deception check because my persuasion is like plus 11. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and use my inspiration for the deception check. Just because I have the feeling this is gonna go very wrong. Ooh, it might not actually. I already said I was gonna roll it though, so we're just gonna have to extra go with it, I guess.
The thing is that the score hasn't been announced, and the result hasn't been given either. So inspiration does not have to be used until you decide to use it. So if you think your roll is high enough, you don't have to.
Well, that is an 18 plus 5, so that does put me at a 23. Okay. I think I'll save the inspiration for the persuasion part, if needed.
Okay. Go ahead and roll the persuasion with advantage.
Advantage? Right, so 16 plus 11 leaves me with 27 for persuasion.
Okay. There are still a few that leave. Most notably, one very large feline presence of Jamila. And a couple of her entourage.
Oh,
I have no idea who that is, but okay.
Jamila is the Gynosphinx.
Can I try? Mr. Bard, can I have a persuasion or
Some inspiration?
some inspiration?
Darwin looks over and is like, Miranda, you know what I'm talking about with these individuals. There's a lot that's been provided by Strahd. There must be some other way we convince. I'm failing at the words right now. I'm thinking code. Basically giving some bardic inspiration here to Miranda here to assist.
Puppy dog eyes her and just
give me some backup here.
Is that a D8 right now?
I think it's a D10.
You are how many levels in the Bard specifically?
10.
Okay, let me just double check.
Again, I don't know if some of the stuff on D&D Beyond is correct or not sometimes, so.
Yes, it just changed to D10.
Yay!
So you get 1 D10 to add to whatever you do. That's all I can help you with. If you mess this up, you're on your own. You sure can slide a hand, but you can't talk worth shit.
Miranda, seeing as how you have that brand and the attire as it is, are you attempting to persuade them as the general sort of person that you were before coming here in general, or leaning into that, hey, I'm linked to them now aspect?
I would more be accentuating what both of them had said, and kind of in my new role kind of thing. So I got an 8. I'm a D10.
And you'll have advantage on your d20.
Hey, let's see if we can crit, because that's the only way it's getting higher. Nope.
No, what did you do?
That's a 10, 9.
Don't forget Bardic Inspiration if you need it.
Oh no, that was
Yeah,
the,
that's I used.
Oh,
so that's 27 plus whatever your modifier
10.
is. So 37.
37.
Okay. In the midst of that, are you saying anything specific to Jamila and her entourage?
I would be, and kind of trying to be flattering towards her and her power and the assistance that it could bring, and the in making having a smoother wedding and situation. I don't know. I'm trying to appeal to the Sphinx lady.
Okay. You do manage to convince several others who are around, other than Jamila. And she's listening to you, and ears kind of flick a couple of times. She's just watching, saying nothing. Her tail sways back and forth slightly and says, "Oh, you flatter Jamila. We stay for now," she says to her entourage, and goes to sit back down.
Yay! I did good.
Darwin kind of looks over and is like, "Thank you." I kind of ran out of words to say at that point.
Now we should have let Benevolence talk to her. They're a great friend.
Amuses her enough that they smack them very hard like a pet toy.
And he takes 8 more damage.
I love how he always takes damage when he's not here somehow.
Okay.
I'm gonna stand up and say that I'll help him out as well.
I hope I was very inspiring to everybody else who was all getting up and leaving.
So how much are we getting paid for this?
Do you actually say that aloud?
You were being
No.
inspired and now are selfless.
Still it's gonna be like, yeah, usually taking out the trash is my thing. But this trash
I don't
sheet's kind
work
of big.
for you no more.
No, I'm still employed for another
Week?
7 week,
About
10 days. So,
Till the
Long
wedding.
enough.
but then again, he could still be like, no, I don't accept this. You're still working. So, you know.
So, everybody who is here player-wise in agreement of sticking around?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
With my axe.
Yes,
Adam
6
isn't here, but if he's made aware of the situation, then he will assist.
Okay.
6 voices say yes in unison. One of them is out in the woods.
Yeah, it's just some random dude out in the woods is like, I don't know why, but I must say yes. Helps him get out of the woods, actually. That'd be great. That'd be an epic plot twist.
Plot twist, he's already fighting the harder.
Plot twist, he's that guy who accidentally bunny hops over to the boss's location. It's already fighting the boss, and we're sitting here just now, like, banding together to go do it.
Alright.
So, Strahd motions to some of the guards to help those who are declining and still leaving to at least take them to their rooms, let them start preparing to go, give them time to think about it before Strahd and Gisela and others can try to convince them to help out before they make their final decision if whether or not to go or not.
Yes, convince him as he licks his teeth. Arr, you will do this. Okay. More rolls, please.
He looks amongst those who are still present and says, I know many of you have given a great deal toward this wedding and toward future business opportunities and the like. And I do not ask for something for nothing. These attempts to find a way to counter this force may be dangerous, but favorable arrangements between us, items from our warehouses and armory, and crafted by our artisans and mages are all possible things that can be given, as well as other possibilities. Among the things that must be decided is how this force is to be handled. If it is to be persuaded or fought without any consideration toward anything but its extinction and any like it, or whether it is to be shown by force the error of its current masterminding. Or the possibility of finding it is incapable of such free thought and little more than a beast, some entity of almost metaphorical nature. Many have had strange dreams of late. Figure in darkness, offering power. Some of you have perhaps rejected it and others seized it. I do not blame you if you have. The danger itself is clever. But its power most likely comes at a price, as all power must. And so there is another possibility. One that may be of use to many of you, in addition to myself, and toward the possibility of its use against this foul presence. There is a tale across many plains of a bird hatched
Caw.
in a shell of ash and charcoal, smoldering embers and fire as it rises, born anew each time it dies. Some of you perhaps know of the creature of which I speak.
Totally a firehawk.
Some of you have not heard of such tales. Perhaps even some of you may have seen such a creature. And if you have, it is a rare sight, and more so of great importance to us if you have. It is my belief that with use of a proper ritual and either a live specimen or eggs of this creature, that a rite of Phoenix's rebirth could be used to alter the nature of this entity and bend its power toward more agreeable purposes, as well as functions of this rite, offering possibilities to those who may otherwise find their form accursed or be at the end of their days. Some will need to stay and plot out defenses against this dark force's manipulations. Protect those who are unable to fight and plot out ways to counter it if such a right is unable to be enacted. Others, I propose, hunt the phoenix. Does any have concern about such a suggestion?
setting up.
What's the shortened version of what he just said?
Too long, didn't read.
Yeah. Some will go and harvest the right of the phoenix, and the others will stay and plot against an attack if the dark forces attack.
Yeah, it sounded like there's going to be two groups, one going offense, one going full defense.
There is essentially one group that would be trying to hunt the phoenix, one group that would be trying to plot out defenses, not only just physical, but ways of boosting the resistance to the corruptive force that is out there. Another that would be preparing other potential offensive possibilities in case either a phoenix cannot be found or if the ritual proves useless.
Would I be able to do a religion check on knowing anything about the phoenix?
I would say religion check or arcana check.
Ooh,
Umbrella.
nat 20.
Oh,
That would be a 25.
Okay. Is that religion or arcana that you're using?
Religion.
Okay. The phoenix is seen as a symbol of fire, freedom, air, and rebirth, second chances, and of reincarnation, of lost opportunities being shrugged off to open oneself up to new potential. It is seen in some religions to be a sign of a divine presence that is offering reassurance. In others, a sign of something that is a constant test, a new day brought with its challenges to be faced each time and to keep rising above it.
Okay. My character will probably stand up, say, "I will go hunt for this bird of which you speak."
Okay. Do you have any specifics that you say among anything that you know about it from religion while saying that?
Probably not, since I'm kind of a stranger to everyone. So I'll probably keep my knowledge to myself unless it comes up needed. And I would probably request access to the armory as well as the warehouse immediately.
Umbra's hand would have jumped up really high. Both of her hands.
This is not a classroom, but go ahead.
I have had some wonderful ideas about implementing new defenses for the castle. Physical defense. And I'd like to run them by you.
I don't know. It is certainly something that can be discussed with the group that is planning on defenses.
Fantastic. You will not be disappointed.
Darwin
Certainly
would
hope
probably. Sorry,
Go ahead.
go first.
No, that was all that he was saying was.
Oh,
He said you will not be disappointed. He said I certainly hope not.
okay. Darwin would chime in at this point and say, Well, odds are I'd be better off here than better off hunting. You've seen how I do it going chicken hunting, so I suppose me going special rare bird of majesty hunting would be a bit worse.
Chicken hunting?
Don't ask. I meant to say peasant, but I completely forgot what the name of the bird was.
Chicken. Everyone's looking at them like chicken hunting.
Slip of the tongue. I may have taken a bonk on the head earlier. I meant pheasant.
Okay.
There is something to be said about occasionally having someone who is meant to flush out prey, rather than meant to stealth around.
Sill's gonna say, "Yeah, we always need bait for traps." Nothing
Pretty
better than my
much.
bait.
He just arches a brow, like not denying that as a possibility.
Why didn't I think of that?
Looks over at Frost.
What's up, Strahd?
How fast can you run? How fast can it fly?
I
Both
believe
good questions.
the ceiling above us, but that's a moot question. Which group do you feel you would be of most use toward?
My instincts are telling me that I'd probably be better with the at-home team, but I am good at getting places and sneaking and espionage. So in case we need any sort of stealth, I could go with the away team.
We'll disguise you as a baby phoenix.
If Miranda is allowed to participate, she is going to go on the Phoenix team.
Owen's still probably thinking about the whole flushing things out side of things. Like, I am loud. Nothing like 2 sets of drums, thanks to the drumsticks of accompaniment, to make something freak the fuck out. Plus, who doesn't need some hunting tunes?
Yeah, are you saying that aloud?
No, it's thoughts, but it might become allowed here in a second. After thinking about it for a second, Darren would be like, well, I do suppose 2 sets of drums may help with the whole finding the bird in the first place, scaring it out wherever it may be hiding. Not to mention, it's always better with some nice music in the background, isn't it?
All the hunters are like, no. No, it's not.
It depends on if you're trying to draw it to you or away.
Very true.
But as it would most likely be a spread out excursion, it would be useful, perhaps. Such as,
Drum signaling.
well, I was more thinking there are means of offering you elevation to suggest a sound that is higher up and it not being wisest for the creature to take flight.
Also very true.
Gisela just nods at Miranda as she's looking like she's wanting to go on the hunt and mentions it. Syl says, I will deal with the defenses and most likely can convince a few good individuals toward working on other offensive possibilities. Strud looks right at Dobbs, glances momentarily down at the floor with it cracking through it, quite evidently. What say you?
Who's talking to?
Dobbs.
Dobbs likes to attack. So, if we're doing a defend while we go, is there a pack trying to actively go out and hunt this quote-unquote Heart of Darkness they know nothing about, but he totally does?
At present, they don't know where it's at, what it is. They're looking at, well, whatever the force is, we need to plan some offensive capabilities, and there's defending against whatever it might be. Yeah, it is, at present, nobody has discussed going out and hunting it down, because nobody seems to know where it is. Or at least if they do know, they're not saying anything.
Well, I'm
What?
waiting for Dobbs to crack. Gotta happen sooner or later to take care of this. Not like Dobbs needs to die, just like some things need to be addressed.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Dobbs knows it's the Heart of Darkness, right?
Oh, yeah.
What does he think the reaction will be if he reveals his information? Insight check.
I'd say insight at disadvantage, because you aren't saying it and then trying to judge them being like stoic or something to that effect. You are guessing at it more.
Aww. Well, that's a wasted crit roll. I'm pretty sure I'm at a +0 for this. Let's add him. Inside, +3, 14.
There's another 14.
Dobbs would likely think that there's going to be some chewing out, some possibility of even punishment of some kind, but at the very least, he's already gone past the point of better to ask for forgiveness than permission, to the state of better to ask forgiveness than asking for a stay of execution.
Bye bye, Dobbs.
God damn it. gives the last known location of the Heart of Darkness.
Knew there was something going on with you.
Strahd
Let gasp, you that lied to us.
Strahd just lightly tilts his head and says, I'm aware of the location that someone saw you before and have connected the dots, as it were. What are you proposing we do with this information? Do you know what this entity is?
Oh, yeah, okay. It's a seed of the Heart of Darkness. I mean, that legitimately is what it is, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Strahd arches both brows. And how came you upon this?
He points at this. I'm so glad that Ninja's not here to defend himself.
It was in one of the presents, and he touched it.
It was next to this violin that someone randomly gave me.
You don't know anything about that! Okay. I rolled high enough to spill the beans this time. Like 3 times in a row. So I guess it's spill the beans times. He'll give the events as he knows it of the scanning of the gifts, and that it seems like Elwyn was mesmerized enough to touch one, while another compatriot tried to stop them. They weren't able to prevent it from losing its shape. As it began to grow in size, I sensed danger and tried to get it out of the castle as soon as possible before it did any damage. I inspected it to try and test its nature and was momentarily overcome by some weakness due to its power. And it burrowed into the ground around that location.
I think Darwin would point out real quick. It's like, wait, did you
That
say
is-
that it was found amidst the gifts that had been brought for the wedding?
It was specifically found amongst a gift that materialized within the gifts. And then after inspecting it, I was given a scene, and I give said scene of the last user and stuff. And basically give the story that I was shown before it had arrived here. I did pass my check like 3 times in a row, so I figured that that was enough willpower to overcome the power lust that I had.
Go ahead and make a deception check at disadvantage.
I didn't say anything false!
You're leaving out certain details.
That's not entirely true. Up until that point,
Not
all
entirely.
of that was up until that exact point, I have not left anything out.
Right, but you fed the magical murder hobo princess to it. Meaning you didn't just let it get away. You knew where it was and fed it.
Why do I have to say that part?
You're specifically not saying it. It's not that you are trying to phrase it in a manner that is vague enough.
What I was very detailed about why I knew
what I'm saying
where
is
I got it from.
You are specifically leaving out details rather than just stating it in a fashion that would be truthful but misleading. You are
There's nothing misleading.
Cutting out part of the narrative in order to put yourself in a better light.
There's nothing misleading. Everything was factually up until that vision and it burrowing in the ground.
You specifically said momentary weakness.
I did have very many momentary weaknesses.
That's it, exactly. It's when you chose to continue rather than a
No. They were little bits of momentary weaknesses. I kept rolling.
I know. But in character, your character has made a conscious decision.
That's a 6.
Okay. Strud looks over you and says, I have a sensation that what you say is mostly true to the best extent of your perception and memory. Though I also have an inkling that you fear reproach and are specifically leaving out details that might be tactically necessary. Would you care to...
It has little viney things that come out of the ground and try to snatch things to bring it down to feed itself. I don't know how far it burrowed down. I just know that it burrowed. And it is trying to grab the entities in which it could reach to help feed itself. And most likely that dream last night had something to do with him.
And
or
you
it.
know that it is feeding how?
I mean, I did see it drag some animals down.
You saw it feast upon them?
Well, no. It dragged the animals down. I can't see through the dirt. I assume that's where they went.
Some creatures know how to mold flesh as easily as clay. You are not certain.
I know that the tendrils had the same very smoky stuff that it had as it was going down.
The jackalope, says Umbra. The jackalope.
But do
The
not
jackalope doesn't have smoky tendrils.
see it
But she saw it like
feed
just get
or-
ripped out in front of her.
Oh,
any other
well,
knowledge
she can
of
bring
its
that up
living.
then. she
That's what she
can
said.
yeah, she can help me attest to that. It ain't a jackalope.
Sounds like the easiest solution is just a bit of mold earth. To make some walls around the area so it can't feed itself anymore while we find an actual solution.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you can't really know its exact location, so it's really hard to trap it.
I mean, we have a general idea though, and assuming that it's dumb and only digs down, you can build a pretty decent just wall around it.
Yes, this
It
all-powerful
seems
thing
hard-
is dumb.
The Heart of Darkness is many things, but I don't think it is dumb.
Also true, it did invade a bunch of people's dreams.
also sent those weird, like, shadow lamprey parasite things to eat people's faces off.
I was not here for that, so I don't know about that.
Shit was horrifying.
Strahd reaches into a pouch on his belt, pulls out a couple of things, rubbing them together, and
Don't zone of truth me. Get the fuck off me. I don't say that.
points a finger
You're like,
over
You know.
at Dobbs, who thus far has provided the most useful information. I want you to make a wisdom saving throw.
God damn it.
Miranda's not gonna counterspell it?
Miranda's a good little bitch right now. That's 6.
Strahd holds in one hand a snake's tongue with a bit of sweet oil rubbed on it, his other fingers outstretched, and he says, "Tell me everything you know about it."
I launched into a 3-hour detailed explanation of every single detail from the moment that he touched
God.
it, that it appeared, to the moment that it dug down.
Just plays Micah's recordings of our sessions.
So, yes, that was suggestion. So, far easier than a Zone of Truth to make sure you get the information you need.
Yeah. So, however long it takes me to spew out every agonizing detail of every room, sensation, random thought, color of specific things,
Yeah, it
to
goes-
exceed 8 hours,
Yeah.
so that I don't have to really.
It's 8 hours, so he has you go ahead and tell every little bit of detail, because any of it might potentially be of use.
Yeah. So I'm gonna make that 8 hours go as long as possible, and to the point where I don't have to reveal that I fed the murder hobo to it. He said very everything. So that was a very long time in between the hobo and the actual meeting. I specifically think it's a day and a half. So
He did specify everything you know about it, so anything that you would be saying that would be repetition at the very least would be something that wouldn't be new information.
well, there would be no repetition. I didn't go over my tracks.
You're gonna be saying it in
Just
old
tell us about
English, which takes it a long time to say a single sentence.
This is a mixture of an old classic play and a Lord of the Rings novel in detail.
Okay. Go ahead and make a persuasion check at disadvantage.
Persuasion. That's a 3. I rolled a 1. I have a +2. The other one was a 17. It's a 20. This is Strahd. Let's be real. I didn't beat it anyway.
Okay.
What? He said everything. He was very adamant.
Could have wrote a book with that much detail.
That's the point.
Strahd is in the midst of listening and listens long enough to get a sensation of what you are attempting to do. He looks over at Gisela. He walks over to you
This is how Dobbs dies.
and says, I'm going to ask you one last time to provide everything you know about it that is of use and not an attempt to save your own skin. I have dealt with far more cunning adversaries than
That is-
you can imagine.
That is so goddamn true.
Yeah, you did.
My charisma, not that high.
He still has that up. And
Well, the suggestion only works once.
no, he's not using suggestion.
Oh, is he intimidating now?
Oh no.
What's he doing now?
I don't know.
He is looking you right in the eyes, and
Am I getting the Dracula mesmeration thing?
no. He says, if you continue to persist in attempting in any fashion to subvert attempts to gain what little tactical information you have, your mind will slowly cook itself from the act of attempting such subterfuge. I want you to make another wisdom saving throw. You now have Gies placed on you.
Yeah, I love that spell. Nice.
It only happens once a day.
It lasts 30 days.
It only happens once a day for 30 days.
I understand.
I've already read that spell.
I understand.
I actually was.
I'm saying it will last anytime that you try to provide information that isn't helpful for that 30 days. So he says, with that in mind, since he's already suggested you, do you want to perhaps offer some information or test? Well, then what I said myself was useless posturing.
I mean, you're the one who wanted me to go into agonizing detail about all this stuff. You said everything.
Useful.
Well, now you said useful. Before you said you wanted everything.
To interject, but I believe
information.
to interject, Count Strahd, but I do believe you may go at this for a long time if we continue. I do believe we have more important issues to handle, though, with this new, partially useful information.
To describe it, and one
Yeah.
of our scribes will.
And I will give
detail
every information except for the hobo version. Feeding the hobo.
Did you tell him about the hobo?
No.
You just said you did. Oh, never
No.
mind.
Except for the hobo version of it.
Okay.
Because I don't actually know what it does or how it affects when it does eat, and I know that it has eaten other creatures. I don't need to provide the hobo version of it.
Because he eats?
All I know is it sucks. All I know is it sucks down the stuff, and that in the description of the message that I was given when I tried to mingle with it to see the nature of it, part of that was people sacrificing people to it to get stronger. I have no need to provide the fact that I fed the hobo to it for him to know that that's what can happen when it gets fed. So that part is redundant information.
True, but he is basically whittling out. You are not going to just describe the dream in 500 comic book panels per second that's passing. He's at least speeding it
I
up
give
so
every non-redundant information, leaving out the hobo version.
Yeah, you don't.
I didn't.
Have to
I never.
Say that, but he's just basically like, we need anything that's useful. Stop wasting time.
Well, the original explanation I gave him was everything.
I understand
that was useful.
But basically, as it's starting to get into a length of time, you were describing the smallest detail, the colors and other things, and he's just like...
Well, yeah, that's because he wanted me to go back and say everything. It's his choice of word, and his failure in his examination of his spell.
Yes. And that's why he rephrased himself and said the GS part, which is kind of give all the useful information first, or you will get this psychic damage. Then you can go prattle on with the rest afterward, because you're still under this suggestion. But he's like, unless you want to get hurt, give me the useful stuff first, to make sure you give us everything.
Yep. So again, he'll redescribe everything that he's said before, from the moment that it appeared, and skipping the hobo version because technically that's redundant information. And he did see creatures that were fed to it. Technically, humans are creatures.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that's all that he was doing it because that's in character. Strahd being Strahd, he wasn't going to just wait through a slow mo thing. He was going to
Look, Dobbs is not
get that.
smart. He's strong.
I think we all know he's strong and not smart, but at the very least he's more cunning than perhaps benevolence in terms of certain things, and less likely to aggro as many things as Syl.
Yeah, his wisdom's meh. His int is his dump stat. His charisma not great. He's brusque.
Yes, but
He's a potato with legs.
yes.
You put a sword in my hand, I go rawr at things.
As he gets this information, he's like, we know what it is, and those who are researching defenses and particular offensive capabilities can research this entity, the Heart of Darkness. And those of us still after the Phoenix can make our efforts toward the possibility it provides, whether it is useful against this Heart of Darkness or not.
Though, knowing that it is a Heart of Darkness, before when he was thinking that his supposed, oh god, redemption was merely fake. Now he has evidence that a corruptive Heart of Darkness is actively trying to change him. To fit the Heart of Darkness's needs.
Mm-hmm. Anybody can go ahead and make a insight check on Strahd.
Alrighty.
Any one or multiple can do this?
Any single individual can do this that wishes to.
18.
15 for Darwin.
Dobbs got a 20, and Miranda got a 19.
I got
No
a
insight checks from me.
Would this be performance or deception? Strahd acts like this knowledge of what it is, and that it is definitely an entity that is manipulating him and Gisela and everyone else to the best of its extant power. Seems as though he didn't doubt that there was something else influencing from how he is discussing the issue, as though he never once thought that it was just himself, with a deception of 34.
Yeah, we all know.
That was a nat 20 on that.
It's Strahd. Hey, his deception is he? Well, does he have any buffs up from Giselle right now?
Not right now.
Oh, his deception is as high as Miranda's.
Yeah, it's not his highest skill, but
No.
that
I've
that
seen his
roll I was
persuasion
like,
get higher.
that's a good roll for him. And fitting to the devil himself. As he continues discussing things, he says, there is some research that is needed to be done, but the last news I heard, as this mythical creature has been of interest for some time, is that there have been sightings of phoenixes in the Shimmer. I think perhaps some research, divining, and preparations today, if our information proves useful. And then I will go out with whoever is willing in order to hunt down this bird or its eggs. My
What? He's gonna
fiancée
hunt the phoenix with us?
will stay and help with the defenses, with her gifts toward it shown quite clearly before we even began our betrothal with the defense of Castle Ebon Peak from the fiends that were invading, along with the Ice Devils. Archmage Lewis and others will research into the offensive other possibilities. He motioned over to one of the guards, who kind of blinks for a moment and steps forward. And Strahd gestures to him and says, this guard will be put to use with the artifact that they have sequestered throughout this day for their own purposes, and put it to use in the aid of finding means to speed up our research. There are two individuals I know of who may have some additional information that would be of use. 3, perhaps, if either of them spoke to the third much about what they had known in the years since I have separated from them. But the two primary ones I know have perished only a couple of years ago, or less. I think it's time that Baba provides some answers, and a few others are of use that they're put to. gestures for the guard to open the pouch at his side. His eyes go a bit wide all throughout this and wider still. Bring it out. You know that I see more than I say. You've certainly worked here long enough. And the individual pulls out a sphere covered in small runes that glows and pulses faintly. Inside what seems to be twists and turns of glass with black sand swirling about as if a myriad of tiny hourglasses are being turned and shifting from one tube to another in a constant flow. And yet, sometimes the flow is faster or slower in different parts. This sphere of frozen time caused a fair bit of aggravation and difficulty. One that was in the hands of one of my ancient brides before I cast them out for the evil they continued to perpetuate that was counter to my plans for redemption. They were slain along with Babala Saga, who was my nursemaid and almost more of a mother than my own flesh and blood. But they both were slain outside and within the sewers beneath Castle Eleven Peak. I think it's time that they're risen and put to use. Who intends to assist with this as we begin our research?
Just like, I
Resurrection?
killed them again. I do it. I killed them before, and I'll do it again if I have.
Is this resurrection?
Possibly, or another means of raising them. He's not being specific.
Wait, who's being rezzed?
Babalai Saga and one of Strahd's brides. Your character
Descriptory?
would probably not know them, but yes,
Okay.
descriptory.
What level's resurrection?
If I'm not mistaken,
Regular or true?
it's
Regular.
a 7th level spell. Just look it up
is
instead of
7,
guessing.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Adam, when he finds out about this when he gets back, he's got raised dead, and he's a cleric, so he would assist. He is specifically a grave cleric, so and a divine warlock, I guess. But if we're trying to get them back up, he'll help. He was gonna help with the defenses, but that seems more down his alley.
Oh yeah, Xander would be down to help if
This-
he can get rescued.
this isn't saying necessarily that it would be somebody put to this that wouldn't go to one of the other three groups. This is before we go out on the hunt for the Phoenix or the defenses or
Oh, well, when
fighting those
Adam
other
gets
groups.
back and he gets filled in, he'll assist.
Umbra's just gonna say she does not want to go back to the shim.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Is that
I
Ninja?
Oh, there.
I do live.
Hey, you
Oh.
weren't around to defend yourself. Ha 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 ha
What? This is unacceptable.
ha ha. You
You should
officially
know
touched the egg.
What do you mean I officially touched the egg? I would
You
not
weren't
have.
around to defend yourself.
Basically, Strahd knows about Heart of Darkness, summing everything up.
Yeah, from the
Well,
time
I
that
mean-
you touched the egg.
Listen. Here's the thing. I already established this and told him about this kind of thing.
Yeah, he did. Well, Strahd knows all about this.
Yeah. And then I had to go into agonizing detail about how you went to touch it, and then somebody tried to stop you, and you forced their hand into it.
But I didn't touch the egg.
No, it's been established that it's your fault.
It is not my fault.
I'm
Listen,
sorry, I had to go into agonizing detail about this. I look. I got a 6 on my save. Okay, it wasn't enough.
Listen, I didn't touch the egg though. Ha. Then again, you're also the one who fucking basically like, oh, here, you want some more?
Yeah,
Released
I
it
was
into the
able.
water.
I was able to not tell about feeding the murder hobo to it.
Oh, okay. So don't worry, we'll still figure it out that it's actually your fault.
No. They know it's my fault. I just was able to not put in that information since it was technically redundant.
Technically redundant. So where are we at right now? What?
We're trying to res some undead
died?
bitches. Defend the castle and almost Dobbs and
Hunt down a phoenix bird.
hunt down a phoenix bird.
All I
No,
know is
I
why can't
I
we
was
just have a simple wedding?
right. I honestly thought that I well, it's on me for 30 days. So anytime I don't give useful information towards this endeavor, I've taken 40-10 damage psychic?
40-10 damage.
5d10.
Sorry, 5d10 psychic damage.
And
He got me with Gaius, okay?
And
He got you
he
a
didn't
Gaius?
specify about this. He said, give useful information.
Yep.
So, if you are giving information out,
It must be useful.
it must be useful for 30 days.
It's not enough to kill me even at max. So there's that.
So basically, I somewhat fucked over Dobbs.
Without even being here.
Yep, we fucked over each other. Don't worry.
Yes, all the kinds of fucking. Wait,
Yeah.
Well, there was that
would be
too
Miranda.
earlier in the session.
wait. What did I miss? What'd you have my
Mask,
character
just-
do?
Mika, quick.
So, whenever
There
we
was
came into-
enthusiastic noises coming from the bedroom.
when Miranda came into the dining hall, it was not long before Strahd and Gisela came in, and she's wearing different attire that used aesthetics from both the Zarevich family aesthetic and Arkan family aesthetic and wolf sort of design, including a brand on part of her body, which was very visibly displayed, of a wolf's head.
Which is what, the family emblem of the Giselle?
It is her now chosen emblem, as she is a werewolf.
Yeah. So I got marked as Giselle's.
Wait, you've been marked? She
Oh,
take
yeah.
a piss on you or something?
Oh yeah. Oh, kind of.
She bit her.
So are we having like a third wedding at the same time now? Is that what's going on?
I'm a concubine.
Concubine, use wild tongue.
That was what that was about, yes. So, yeah, that's basically what you missed, is through miscellaneous different things going on, Strahd
Miscellaneous is right.
found out that, it's the Heart of Darkness. And, the chambermaid that had killed the upper maid and went out with Buster to bury her, was walking with Buster, and suddenly Buster found themselves hurtling through the air into the wandering in the Valley of Ivorab in several pieces.
The wandering forest is okay.
And Xander, V, Tatash, and Pine went in there to go and get him, and Xander got separated from them after they found Buster, and is now talking with some toad-like people who are psychically talking to him, who think that he's been wandering around for 4 weeks and somehow survived, so he might be useful, potentially as food, maybe for their tadpoles.
Shrooms.
And the chambermaid came into the dining hall, and shortly after, the upper maid, who was murdered, walked in. And the chambermaid handed off a wrapped up sphere to a guard, who Strahd just recently called out as, "Hey, come up here. I know you have something. Yep, take it out, show it. Okay, you are now voluntold to help with go and find Baba Lysaga and the Scriptori, who used to be one of Strahd's vampire brides, both of which were killed by members of the party earlier in the campaign."
So good job to those of you that did that.
What'd I do again?
You touched an
Well, I
egg.
mean, I don't remember killing anyone.
I
Is
didn't touch it, remember?
Baba Lysaga was killed before you had joined, and so was the Scriptori.
Okay, so I had nothing to do with this death for once.
No. This one in
what? For
particular,
once.
you did not. However, Syl was there. Pine was there. Tatash was there. Utgan was there.
What about Sir Barrington?
No, it was Sir Barrington, not Pine. Was there. There was. I was thinking of. Why am I blanking on his name? Leo. Leo was there. Leo is the one who, because they had touched the Sphere of Frozen Time, managed to remember when the Scriptora used it to reverse the previous round and undo all the damage that was done to her.
Yeah, and they interrupted Syl's sneak attack when she knew what she was doing the entire time. No, let's always interrupt Syl. She's always the bad guy.
Well, I mean,
No,
is
she is not.
Not always, just frequently. But, yes.
She's always right, though.
All of that is what has occurred. Strahd is basically suggesting that people who don't want to help out in one of the three divisions will be allowed to pack up their things and let Strahd and Gisela and a few others try to convince them to help out. Otherwise, you can leave, but know that we are picking friends and family and allies and such based on who actually help us out, and we will look at them favorably in the future. And if you're not going to help, we don't really care if you want to be at the wedding, because this needs to be dealt with, because otherwise the wedding is like way too much danger with everybody going crazy.
Yep.
So
We managed to convince a lot of people to stay.
yeah, including Jamila, who was going to walk out with her entourage.
The persuasion crew of Darwin and Miranda, evidently.
Oh.
And so the openings are first find the remains of Baba Lysaga and the scriptory former vampire bride. Raise them or resurrect them or something to bring them back to give out what information they have and research available. Then divide into 3 teams. Either go hunt the Phoenix, work on defenses, or work out what other offensive capabilities they might have against the Heart of Darkness if the ritual using the Phoenix proves not to be of use.
I vote on walking up and stabbing it with a sword.
So our options are basically attack it, defend against it, or research about it.
Research about it is a general thing that'll be happening, but specifically going to hunt the Phoenix there is a ritual that Strahd has heard about that requires either live Phoenix or eggs, which can allow for removing of curses, rebirth, reincarnation, etc., that could potentially let them turn the Heart of Darkness into something more agreeable and malleable in nature to make it so that it isn't going to drive people insane and stuff like that.
He wants to subjugate the Heart of Darkness.
Yeah,
Or
basically.
just like alignment shift it slightly.
Either make
So instead of it being just completely evil, it'll just be neutral.
Well, basically he said either we make it flee, we make it kneel and submit, or we kill it. And this is before he knew it was the Heart of Darkness, but he's saying whatever this entity is.
Well, I never seen a problem with just a good old stabbing, Except I'll just notch an arrow and see what happens.
Right, Jack the Ripper.
Well, I mean, I did give him a dumb bow, and now, I mean, my initial reaction probably would be like, shoot it every time.
I feel like an exorcism would be in order if it's completely unholy in origin. That might do a bit more effective damage than just stabbing it with a stick attached to a metal thingy.
Well, yes, radiant damage would probably hurt it more. But I don't think we have an exorcism spell. We got turn undead or something like that.
We just pour holy water on it till it drowns.
You'd pour holy water till it drowns. I like that.
Think about it. If it's unholy, it's like slapping garlic on one of Count Strahd's steaks. It's like
It's good seasoning.
good seasoning, yes. On my potatoes.
Well, in Elwin's case, I say try to find more research about it and see of other ways of possibly defeating this thing.
You got mine for my 3. I gotta go. I'll catch you guys later.
See you later, Arendelle.
Yep.
I mean, I'm fine with the offensive plan.
All right.
I'm down with
Probably
that as
fight
well.
it before it gets even stronger.
I'm interested in turning it somehow.
I would prefer the method of just finding research of alternatives of seeing what kind of weaknesses it could have, how it was stopped possibly before, or other methods that could be used.
We could do a little of each, like offense, defense, and research. Don't necessarily have to like put all our eggs in one basket. It's like starting to look like it's one of those situations where it's about to Armageddon us in the next like few days.
Well, that is the plan. Basically, is to split up into teams of who thinks they're best at this and figure out how do we go about it instead of everybody trying to do everything simultaneously. Let's, sort out who's going to be most useful to each of these tasks.
Well, issue is with Elwyn, I'm useful in both tasks with attacking and researching, as I've done a lot of research back in my time in Stormhold. I'm a sage, so.
Should have left you there.
Shh.
Well, the research
Kept the
will be
dog.
for every aspect of it. It's just from the research, where to go from there. I propose a short break, and then we will come back and be able to wrap things up shortly after that. Anybody need to eat, use restroom, etc., and then we'll reconvene shortly.
Okay.
Alright, I'll
Taking
be right back.
recess.
I'm gonna smoke a cig.
Heh. Hello there.
Hello there.
What's up?
Had to run into the other room for a second. You just missed something?
No. I'm on the server right now and talking to a couple people.
I get you.
Guess
Everybody
who's
else
on?
just...
Aliens on.
No, he is. Everybody just... Is that all for tonight then, for the session?
We were taking a short break and then we're gonna finish up.
I gotcha. Okay.
Wait, did I hear that's all?
Oh,
Okay, I thought we were
just
just.
asking a question.
I just gambled 2.3 mil in one.
What were y'all doing, Ninja?
Yep. Trooper down, trooper down. The humanity.
The inhumanity.
By the way, so earlier I didn't want to interrupt what you were saying, Ninja, but when you were like, "Can't we have a normal ending?" Like, instant reaction for me was just, "With the count? Away!" Ow!
I just right when I gambled the 2.3 mil and won, I turn and I see James, the 501st medic, get sniped out of nowhere.
Good, he deserved it.
I bet you it was Otter that did it.
Probably.
Isn't Otter Thanatos?
You know, we Sticks, we actually had a big talk with Otter with like all DU High Command. With actually all the officers had a talk with Otter.
Okay, what
I ever
happened?
tell you he metagamed real hard when he had a bounty on his head?
Oh yeah, that we were talking to him about us. He receiving reports of him metagaming, of him minging, and just other
Did
things.
you get the report that he held HMC hostage with a bomb as a bounty hunter?
Oh yeah, we have a video of that actually. We have someone who recorded the entire thing, and it's a joke because we're making fun of him for being that dumb. It's basically his punishment currently until we actually figure out what to do with him is that he's just being kind of publicly shunned by, shamed, I guess, by the bounty hunter community. So,
Jesus Christ.
I mean, he deserves it.
He on all aspects. Like I've gotten reports from GMOs that about issues with him trying to derail events. You know, Cass was telling me how I don't know if you were there, Sticks, but there was something going on at Granite, and you guys were belonging Granite. This was for Maddox. This is actually a PK event. And so the building is about to blow, and then I was like, I'm going to go back in, and Cass is yelling at him not to go back in, but he's just refusing to listen and go back in because he wants to die a hero kind of deal.
Yeah, I was an event job on that event.
Okay, the issue is that in order to die a hero, you have to be liked in the first place, for it to like make any sense. Otherwise, people are just like, okay, go die then. You know? And it's like there's no like emotional attachment. Meanwhile, it's like if as an example based on individuals who had set themselves up, like in 212, if it was me, if it was Fi, if it was Gutler, if it was like all these other people, if any one of them did that, everyone would be like, no, come on, we gotta do this. And it'd be like a huge emotional moment, you know?
Or like me going to go do it. Except Cass would be like, just let him die. Let the defect
The
die.
funniest thing is, so when Otter learned about, like, actually in character learned about his bounty that was out on him, it was because Diplo had gotten taken hostage, right?
Mm-hmm. You sure it
And
wasn't
so,
me?
oh, it was Diplo who had gotten taken hostage.
That's my thing. He's trying to steal my thunder.
Yeah, but so basically, I saved him by basically taking a shotgun blast to the chest and then killing the guy who had kidnapped him. They're basically trying to get Otter to come out and switch places with him so he could then kill him. And I was like, you ain't doing that in the village. I'm giving you a couple seconds to let him go before we start causing problems for you. And you didn't let him go. And I was like, all right, hey, yo, buddy, you're my witness, right? In case I have to go to court for any reason. He's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. Immediately turns, I get shot in the chest with shotgun blast, but I put him down before he can kill me. I'm sitting there like, well, I'm wounded. I just took a shotgun blast to the chest to save this guy. And the funniest thing is Diplo ran off instead of making sure the guy who had saved his ass was okay. So Diplo is labeled as a coward in the village's books. Literally took like 5 minutes for a medic that wasn't even tied to DU to actually get out there to help. Which is really funny. But yeah.
I'm going on a solo patrol right now. Bro responds with granted.
Question mark?
Yeah. Alright, I'll take that in mind.
I keep on looking at these spells and I keep on forgetting which ones I have because I just sometimes I'm just like, oh yeah, I forgot I had that.
Merle.
I've been trying to use detect magic to find me some better loot, but
Merle.
I can't.
So I
my
forgot
character-
I have Dimension Door. I forgot I've got like
Dementia?
Dimension Door. So I can literally just teleport. I completely forgot I had that.
You wanna know
What
what's
are we
Merle?
waiting
I
for?
did we're waiting for Micah to get back.
No, I said I was here. First time
Oh.
I heard that Gaming Wolf spoke.
Oh,
Oh.
I've been here. I didn't even leave.
Oh, so we've all just
No,
been
you,
here.
You
Just
had
didn't
yourself
know
on
we're all
mute
here.
when I came back.
Merle, as soon as I went on to
I've been on mute since everyone's been talking.
as soon as
You
I
use
went
the
on
bathroom,
a
that's
solo
it.
patrol, Merle all of a sudden everybody in OEC is like, oh, he's gonna get kidnapped again. I'm like, no.
Maybe.
My vote is we get back to the D&D if possible.
Yes, let's do that.
So, as everybody is discussing things, talking amongst themselves, there is a moment as Strahd and Gisela are just watching as everybody is starting to talk amongst themselves, discussing who will help out with which group, etc., who will help out seeking out these bodies and such. I want everybody to go ahead and make a perception check.
10.
Alrighty.
I got a solid 10. I wish I could use my passive in these times. Merle, by the way, the bounty hunters just put a 50k bounty on me.
They can't do that though.
Are you kidding me?
all of mine
got a
above
2.
20.
Alrighty, it looks like I'm sitting at Erwin is sitting at 21. Styx doesn't see shit. Poor Styx.
Sure.
I got a 2.
It looks like you got a 1 to me.
Well, plus my perception is another +1, so I got 2.
You still rolled a 1 though.
Yes, I still rolled a 1.
You only crit fail on attack.
Yeah, it's only a crit fail on attacks. It's also only a crit success on attacks. There may be things where it might be not as useful or advantageous to you with a low score, but it may be that, say, you roll a 2 but you have a -1, or if you roll a nat 1 and you have a 0. You know, it's not a guaranteed thing. That is a frequent homebrew ruling, but not something that is constantly used.
Yeah, no, I was just pointing out because it's just the lowest possible roll he could have gotten. Having a bit of a giggle.
It's possible to have a nat 1 and then have a -5.
No, I mean in terms of the dice roll.
I get it. So, as some of you are talking and looking around as well, anyone who rolled a 14 or higher would notice that as Strahd and Gisela are talking lightly to themselves, and looking about. They've sat down at respective chairs, and here and there, Gisela is lightly drumming her fingers on the arm of her chair. And where she is drumming, there is very clear, small bits of frost forming and fading as her fingers are coming up from it.
I don't believe cryomancy's a normal abilities of werewolves, is it?
Those of you who passed can do a Arcana check.
Darwin's sitting at a 20.
All of them got below 50.
Okay. There doesn't seem to be any magic that is innate to the motion of her fingers. She's not saying anything. She doesn't seem to be focusing on anything. And it is not something innate to werewolves, to the best of your knowledge. No. Is, however, a moment as Strud just mentions something to her, and she's just nodding, and as she brushes back a little bit of hair, her engagement ring is visible, and it is covered in tiny little etchings that look like snowflakes and frost spreading across it.
Oh, so it's a ring of ice. Or some type of hold type magic ring.
Also, you can go ahead and make a history check.
Ooh, I ain't. Ooh. +8 to that, so that's an 11. So, alright.
Okay.
Total of 11 for that.
You have heard of some magical rings that are able to provide ice spells and the like. Not particularly common in a place like the Frost Heart, where things are going to freeze if they're left outside. For some reason, you're not quite sure. There's something in the back of your memory, vaguely, that the design seems more intricate. Like this might either be something very old or custom made. You're not entirely certain, but it does not look like a simple, more common type of ring using some ice magic that you would find in some other plane.
So it's something rare, probably olden. Issue is, I don't know what to do with this information. um. Someone might say something, be like, "Oh, I've just noticed. Is your engagement ring also a ring of cold, as they call it, or is there a different name for it?" Notice there's some other intricate snow designs on that. Snowflakes and ice crystal type deal.
I'm not entirely certain it's what beloved gave to me. She gives a light smile looking at him. It is something that I've had for a very long time in my armory, and it is certainly something that has capabilities with ice magic to my knowledge, and it has been centuries since I obtained it. And I must say that my previous quartermasters were not as detailed with their notes as Obadiah and his parents and grandparents have been. So I'm not entirely certain.
Darwin would nod and just be like, "Yes, I've just kind of was noticing it after I saw the frost popping up, because it's a far much more elegant and rare design than what you would see with most magically enhanced rings. It's far intricate and it caught my eye. I don't know why. There was just a thought itching at the back of my head. Like I've seen it. I've heard of something or other about it before."
Well, I do not believe it is particularly too much of specific focus toward dealing with this heart of darkness, but if you think that it might perhaps be of use for beloved to know what else it might be capable of, I certainly would not discourage an attempt to study it without taking it from her.
Well, I would not say I'm an expert in magic, but I've had a lot of talks, and dependent on. I'm trying to think of the word here. It's lots of words scratching at the back of my head today. If it's possible for you to use some of your own magic ability and channel it through that ring, if there's one thing I know about digging and digging out of things, it's much harder when the ground is frozen solid. So, depending on the level of cold can be handled with that, we may be able to slow any possible movement of the Heart of Darkness if we're in a close enough area to it.
Much of the ground around the castle is permafrost, and it is at least perhaps of use if we are in a position that is, say, less firm, such as if it is underground and dirt and rock is spread out. At least in defense of the castle. Hopefully.
Yes, nearby the castle wouldn't be. Nearby the castle wouldn't be as useful, but depending on how far away it is and the location of it, it managed to find a spot it can easily dig through, odds are the ground isn't permafrost. If it already is, then we have something far much more worry about, considering how if it's able to move that quickly through permafrost, being able to dig down and reach up to grab food like Gobs had mentioned, then possibilities of it moving quite quickly to a more dangerous location, such as directly underneath the castle, possibly is much more worrying.
Directly under the castle itself would be. Well, I imagine there would be quite a ruckus from all the entities that live in the sewers and caves beneath it. I imagine that at the very least we should hear about such coming up through the pipes and chutes from the privies.
I would hope so, but this is anytime you're dealing with something that's quite strange, this Heart of Darkness, it's always safe to try and take the best hopes approach. Just for now, until we can kind of determine how much in terms of its movement and hiding capabilities it is. Maybe having guards that are able to act as our first eyes in the event it decides to come too close. Last thing we need is something this potentially dangerous 40 feet below us. I just realized we're on the second floor. That'd be closer to like 60 or 70 or 80 feet below us.
Far lower than that, hopefully, unless it crashes straight through solid rock.
Hopefully. But again, it would be better to be safe than sorry.
Well, she's already able to use some measure of ice spells with it. But if you are able to figure something else about it, it would be quite curious.
I have to do a little bit of reading up. Because I know I've got something on the back of my mind. And I guarantee that it's either going to, at a point where I am quite sure will not be opportune, because comedic timing is always or reading on it. I might be able to think of something.
Okay, was it just me?
I think mine's good now.
Okay. Yeah, it suddenly went robotic and then it cut out my audio entirely for a second there. At least on my end.
Yeah, you sound good now, though.
Okay. So, yeah, he's just more or less, if you can figure something out, then let us know. But for now,
Yeah, Darwin again just kind of nods and thinking about if he maybe has a book or two stashed up in his room that maybe has something on it. Be an old notebook of his where he was writing down tales and ideas for songs.
else have anything that they wish to bring up while in the midst of discussing things post lunch and such in the dining hall?
That is a fat negative from Ellen.
I can't think of anything other than what we've already been over.
Yeah, Umbra would talk to Drod about the thing I told you about earlier.
I'd probably be making my way towards the armory or warehouse to get suited up for the mission.
Okay. Alright. And anything that anybody else would like to do after the planning and such before we end the session off for the night?
Xander would like to get out of the forest.
Oh,
He
shit.
almost
Right.
completely forgot about Xander. He lost the forest.
Would he now?
I think he would. And hopefully bring the peace along. Even though the players are not here.
Would he now?
It's a next week kind of thing, huh?
We shall find out.
Alright.